It's time for the Permanent Building Construction Committee of the Town of Norwood to begin its scheduled meeting for September 5th, 2019. So I think we can start proceedings off with the invoices.
Move that we approve the secretarial invoice for September 5th, today, 2019.
I'll second it.
We don't have one, we don't
All
have
in
one,
favor?
we don't have one from,
No.
We did it because we knew it was going to be a while, so we actually just did it that night.
okay,
Right, Linda? Does that sound right?
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay.
Okay.
All right, moving right along.
I'll give you the next one. It's the minutes to,
Okay.
move that we approve the minutes of the meeting of July 18th, 2019.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Oh, does anybody have any problem with the minutes of that period?
I wasn't here, so I'm going to
All right,
abstain.
all in
I found
favor?
looking and I didn't really see any issues.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Okay, that's
Okay.
four and an abstention, because Jerry wasn't.
It's 3 and 2 abstentions. Can we do that?
What?
Can we pass it with 3 because Bill is abstaining
We can
too?
do
I wasn't here.
Okay.
You can do three.
Okay.
Okay. That's it for
There are
invoices
no other invoices, right?
in the minutes.
It's going to be a real exciting meeting for you, John.
Oh, yeah. Okay, no other invoices over there, correct?
No.
Okay, update on the chapel project. I guess I'll take this one. As far as I know, the chapel is completed in the eyes of many, but not necessarily in what we need to do, because there are certain things like we were just talking about providing heat and, hi Steve. Steve Connor. He's that gentleman I was telling you about. He's another one. So we have a little bit of work to do there before the winter sets in, and I have to go up there and talk to him about it. And that and the door, which seems now to be swollen, so we'll take a look at that. So that's on me. I'll go up there and talk to them about it. Update on the town hall project, that would be Jerry.
If there are no more, all 5 invoices right on that, right?
Yeah, let me just explain. While you were away, they submitted an invoice to finalize the programming phase, and we discussed it. I got some drawings, looked at it, everything looked okay. So we ran it through, and it was approved, and so everybody's sitting around for the next shoe to drop. Unless you have some more information on that.
As far as I know, everybody's still waiting for the town manager to make up his
Okay.
mind.
Okay, we're moving right along then. Now, update on the high school. Again, that's me. I had a rather lengthy talk with Paul Rinaldi, Riccardi today. The work is finished, and it's really a more of a patchwork thing where they had the significant problems, notably at the gym. But there are other areas too, where the roof by the tower where the clock is comes down and slopes down over the library. They detected some problems there, and they've addressed them and filled those in. And I guess there were sporadic problems out on the roof itself that they were able to identify. And one of the more prominent problems was over at the loading dock, where they did some extensive work up there too, including the roof drain. Now, when he was talking about roof drains, he used the plural, so it's possible there's more than one roof drain over that loading dock. But I thought he was talking about all the roof drains, but so I wasn't able to get off the phone before I had a chance to find out exactly whether it's just the ones at the loading dock or worse than that. The bottom line is that this is work that the contractor is going to provide on his own, and it's covered under the warranty, as I understand it at the present time. So, but we know from those infrared pictures that were taken on exploratory of the entire roof, there were significant indications there were other problems up there. So they're not so sure that these things were, that these conditions that they saw in the diagrams where these things were noted, that they were accurate. So I guess they're gonna go up and do it again. Now, who's gonna do that, I don't know. The last time, I think the school department did it, but this is gonna, I think, should be back on the contractor to do this too. And curiously enough, they don't do it with, flyover, with infrared and all that. What they do is they just actually go around the roof, and evaluate it that way. So they say it's a more accurate way of doing it. So that's still in the offing, and I don't know when that's gonna happen. So as it sits right now, all of the leaks, the reported leaks, some of the ones that they've identified, plus any problems with the roof drain, plus any problems with flashings and so forth, although they did not mention the one flashing that we were all interested in, that's the one at the exterior wall, which was thought to be not joined in with the vapor barrier on the roof, which is what's required by law, the so-called membrane. So I've not been able to get Paul Riccardi's input on that. So that's another very extensive thing that they would have to do, pulling all that exterior flashing off if they have to. And we know that in several cases the membrane going up the wall and then making a 90-degree turn onto the roof. It just they did that, but the two membranes were never joined together, which is a significant entry point for moisture. So we got to look into that and get some feedback on it and find out what that's all about. So essentially that's in a nutshell as I know it. I've asked for a full report, and as soon as I get that, in another month or so, we'll be able to look at it in greater detail.
I've got a couple questions. After they did the repair, did they do anything to check to see if those repairs worked well? Or did
I just
they
think-
check it after a rainstorm or anything?
Well, there's one coming, so we can certainly find that out. And that's not a bad question, but I didn't have a chance to ask Paul at that point, but
Okay.
I think, I don't look on this that we're finished.
Yeah, I mean, it
I
sounds like the
look, it
contractor's
just
been
looked like
working
a
on
job
it.
in progress here.
Yeah, there's nobody's complaining about doing
Yeah.
it. And
But
the other question I had is, you had mentioned something specifically about where the solar panels were mounted on the roof, whether they're curbs or whatever. Is there an issue specifically right there?
yeah, there is an issue.
Okay.
That's actually a kind of a several point issue. The question is, do we want to put them back? Is the
Take them out.
fact that they're there to as I understand it, to create a way for the kids in the science department to measure the solar energy coming off those panels. And the problem is, the downside is that they've mounting them on that kind of a membrane is not the best thing, because usually they're mounted on heavy membranes, with a protective, and that didn't happen. They just stuck on the sonophil roof membrane. So the general feeling up between actually myself and Paul, that if at all possible, we'd like to not remount them, so they're not reset at this point, as I understand it.
But so they were removed,
They had to be
loosened?
removed, yeah, because
They
there was
fixed it,
considerable
and
damage at
they're
the
just
end.
sitting up there right now.
I don't know if
Or
they're
maybe
actually
they're
on the
off.
roof. They may not be on there. They may be in storage somewhere.
How many
I mean, it's a
panels,
good thing for the town to have. I mean,
how many panels were up there?
What?
How many panels were up there?
This is for the Mr. Crowley, am I correct?
Yeah,
For that class?
Uh,
What is it,
I
about
think
8?
there were 10, but I'm not sure.
well, we have a
Could you
picture here,
take
right?
some of them and locate them some other place?
So is it all?
And that was kind of what I was getting to. Can we think about maybe one or two that gives you enough energy to do the experiment, even though it doesn't necessarily provide any useful energy anywhere else?
Well,
Yeah. Is there significant energy
I
savings?
don't know if you
from
guys have had experience with
these?
these.
All them right here. Tim?
Yeah. When I did the
it's a
Newton
Oh,
South High School,
someplace.
we had panels like that mounted. We had a whole
Here's the front.
30,000
This is
square
open
feet
again.
roof,
Yes.
with loaded with these
Yes,
panels.
someplace.
And that, all of that was
Those are
dedicated
solar
to the
panels.
work in the science department and
Those
the
certainly,
the
take
school.
all the solar panels.
I mean, they had a kiosk downstairs, you could actually see, take readings off it and everything, it's just quite a,
These are them right over the gym, is that right? So here's the front door.
yeah.
Well, that's got a kiosk at the high school as well. They've got a lot of good interconnections with it, but if
These are
it's,
not the same, these are almost laid flat.
Yeah. I can see those being almost.
Yeah, usually about a 20 degree.
But that's where they are, right?
Yeah, that's it, that was that.
Well, I know
blue-
you wouldn't be able to tell that 20-degree angle or whatever from the picture.
No, but I mean, you can
But
tell
these
by looking at
rays-
them,
the
they're
rays
more or
are
less
there.
flat, yeah. But anyway,
Okay.
I guess becomes a question, because I don't really feel we're out of the woods yet. I think there's a lot of, we won't know until we get a chance to look at the report and find out, what Sonifil thinks about it. The Sonifil, they're the manufacturers of the membrane, they were not the guys who installed it. Was it Sheridan or somebody like that, I think was the name of the contractor, the roofer. I'm not quite sure that's their name, but I know it's Sonifil, it's,
Manufacturer.
yeah. So anyway, when we have more on to talk about, and he said it'd probably take about 2 or 3 weeks to get that report. Anybody else got any
Sounds good.
questions? Steve, you come late to that, and I know you're an expert on this stuff. Got any questions?
No.
No, okay. I'm not gonna apologize for him, this is all they gave me, so it's all I can give you guys. And as soon as I know more, I'll make sure everybody knows about it.
Do we know when the Sonifil report's gonna come out?
What?
Do we know when we're gonna get something from Sonifil?
They said 2 to 3 weeks, maybe longer. But the thing is, I don't know, because at the same time, the last time I talked to them, which was about a month and a half ago, they said they were gonna go back over the roof and do another check on any kind of moisture penetration that there may be still up there. I'm not satisfied, this is kind of, I mean, we were looking at some serious money to do the repairs, and it got down to about $30,000 of repairs that they made on this. I'm not sure of that number either, but it was close to that, more so than the first one, when everything, the whole roof was gonna have to be done. Anyway, okay. Old and new business, old business. I talked to Travis Foley on things at the bathhouse. Says everything's fine down there, no problem, everything's running great, blah, 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 and it's kudos all around on that
Who
one.
is that?
Huh?
Who's that person?
Travis Foley's the recreation department head,
Oh, okay.
and he took it over after Jerry Miller.
I was there today, Ted. That vertical siding that is along the,
You mean the thing where the blind wall is?
yeah, some of that vertical siding looks like sin.
Looks like what?
Looks like sin. It's all blackened.
Yeah, you know why?
Yeah, because,
Cedar.
yeah, it's not.
That's a problem with cedar. It blackens no matter what you do.
Yeah, looks like sin. The other thing
We'll
is
probably end up painting it.
the lawn has not been maintained, but
Oh, yeah, I was there in the spring and it wasn't terrible.
because
The big-
consider
The
it
big
was soil.
problem is that they hadn't been taking care of the grass.
Yeah.
And I went down there and I stomped around on the grass. We paid significant money to put that grass in, which is over and above what was required in the specification, but there was no other thing we could do under the circumstances. So everyone had to talk with Travis, so I think, and I mean, we put in a kind of a quasi subgrade irrigation system down there. All he has to do is attach a hose and spread it around. I mean, you gods, what's the?
Well, he needs to put a little fertilizer down.
Well, maybe that, but the thing is that it's rough, it crunches under your foot, and that's not good. So I did talk to him, but last time I went there, it didn't look all that bad, so. Okay, I think that was the old business as far as I know.
could I
Yes,
ask,
I did see-
could I ask an old business question? What's the situation with the windows up here?
The what?
The windows?
I'm still writing the request for
RFP.
proposal,
Okay,
and it is a lengthy piece of work. I saw a request for a proposal in the paper, I think Thank you, Linda, she picked it out. It has to do with an elevator, I haven't read it because the printing is so fine I can't read it.
Oh, you mean like a template for you to use?
Hmm?
You mean a template for you to use? Is that what you're saying?
No, there's a request for a proposed elevator.
There's an RFP out.
From
Yeah.
us? From
Yeah.
the
The
town?
The
elevator,
elevator here.
Yeah,
From the
yeah.
town, okay.
I saw that.
Yeah, I-
Estimated cost
take
of
my
the
word
job
for it,
is
it's in this pile of
$300,000.
paper somewhere. Oh, here it is. There it is.
Holy cow.
Oh, you printed it, oh, look at that printing.
Anyways, it's signed by Tony Mizuko, general manager, and I'm gonna look at it. At first blush, I understand it's for $300,000, but I don't know where, if anybody knows where they wanna put this elevator, I'd appreciate them telling me.
They're not replacing it yet, all they're doing is fixing the cab.
Repair.
$300,000 to fix the cab? They're not pulling the,
So I could have said,
$300,000 to fix the
I
cab?
don't know about the number, I'm telling you what the job is.
Wow.
I didn't come up with the number.
I'm sorry,
I gotta
Jerry,
read
did you
this
say
thing
to
because
fix
it's-
the cable to
Three
repair?
hundred-
No, to
$300,000.
rehabilitate the cab, C-A-B,
Oh, the
cab
Goes up and
that you
down.
ride in.
$300,000 will get you an elevator, a hoistway, and I mean, this is hydraulic, it's only going 4 stories.
Wow.
I think there's a wet bar in the back.
What?
I think there's a wet bar in the back.
But you know, when you talk, I looked at that, because I was on the team to put that in. And we had one heck of a time building that and blocking off that part of the building. And the one thing I wanted to do down at the bottom was to build a little vestibule. Not into the elevator shaftway, but outside it. So people coming in off the parking lot could go into the vestibule and
Yeah,
go up
right.
in the elevator. Oh, there was a battle about it. But I still think we ought to do it. But I gotta read this thing to find out. I wish I could tell you what it says, but all I see is these lines on it. I can't make it out. No.
So the proposal will come in and you'll
Yeah.
really find out.
But anyway, I'm gonna read it, and I'll talk to Mr. Mizuko, see, I think he's on my good, I'm on his good side now, because he congratulated us on a good job at the chapel, so I feel that we're going ahead. Okay, new business. I guess we have some new business.
Gentlemen, I am regrettably going to resign my commission on this board for health reasons. I'm sure that most of you know that I've had some real serious issues since June, and I'm just not able to do it anymore. The recovery has been very slow. I'm actually in rehab right now. I go to rehab 3 days a week. So I'm going to resign my commission. I was up in May anyway, but I'm going to have to go early.
We'll certainly be sorry to see you go. If you're feeling better, come on back. If I
am-
recall, it was someone sitting in this chair right here who called me back.
I know. You never know.
You know,
So is that effective tonight, Bill, at the end of the meeting? Is that-
So,
Wait.
I can stay till the end of the meeting, yeah.
But that's
But
not
after
your
tonight,
intent.
that's it.
Bill,
I'm sorry, too many voices.
I had an idea.
Oh, good.
We had some problems. We had to postpone the meeting, I think, twice because we couldn't get a full quorum. Now, the way the planning board handles that, they have auxiliary people. So that if they don't have a quorum and they need somebody to fill in, they have these people who are requested to come in, get acquainted with the situation, and they sit in and vote. Was that something you'd be interested in?
I could do that.
I'm gonna talk to, I guess I'll talk to Mr. Mizuko about that. Because I
What
think,
about
Take it
the,
easy.
because it becomes a
Take it easy
luxury, if
for
we
the
can't
long
pay
run.
our bills on time,
yeah,
then, you know, we haven't done our job. And still, right now,
Now there's 7.
excuse me, John, we're 2 people down.
Okay.
So we may not let you out of the room until you sign on. So anyway, you can see this is not an aggravating kind of situation, environment that we have here, so I'm hoping that you're impressed.
Yep.
And I'm hoping you'll be there next week so we can get you going. What we need you to do is to, there is an appointment authority, that's the it's chaired by the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, the town moderator, and the chairman of the school committee.
Okay.
Those are the three people that will appoint you, when, with our recommendation, you're shoo-in, okay?
Okay.
So, if you, and I know you've done work in the town before, I read your letter, so, you certainly are qualified for what we do. And I, for one, would be very happy to see you sitting in that chair for quite a while.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Now, each chair has a certain expiration or term, so to speak. I don't know when that chair's term will be up.
That particular chair when it falls down.
Yeah, but you know, it could be as early as the spring or something, and then you just renew it and kind of keep going.
I went through the exercise here that you can see the problem we're having. You know, it's rather difficult to get four guys together and we can't have a quorum. So,
Right.
So that's why your presence would be very valuable for us.
Especially the summer.
Yeah, and I can promise you, you won't be bored. If there's
Okay.
one thing, you won't be bored. And who knows, you get your name on a plaque.
Oh, boy.
Sometimes
So I was on it. I was just gonna say, I was on it for about 6 years, and then off it for about 6 years when they were building the high school, just because I was one of the few that worked for a living at the time. So I didn't have as much time, and they came back after that when they needed someone.
Right.
So I think I've been, I don't know, 12, 13 years on it, out of the last 18 or whatever it is.
Okay, getting back to my suggestion with Bill, I don't know what that, you know, what that situation would entail, whether you have to, you know, be invited in at certain times, but just for one thing or something like that, but
Well,
as soon as I know, I'll let you know.
Right, I will put that in my letter of resignation.
Good.
That I would be available for something like that.
You want to address that to,
I know who, Tom
Okay.
McQuaid.
who?
Tom McQuaid,
No,
yes. I called Chris Eberly.
no, it's the chairman of the selectmen.
No, it's not, sir.
It is. It says so in the law. Do it your way, I don't care.
Okay, I just know who Chris resigned to, and it was Tom McQuaid.
I don't get it.
And he was steered there by Dave Hearn, the town moderator, because that's who we called first.
Hmm.
And he was steered to Tom McQuaid.
Well, I've been on this committee for 34 years, and it's always been the three guys that I mentioned.
That's who I thought too.
Yeah,
But I
okay.
called Chris on it, so.
All right,
And by the way, Chris told me that Compass is really still Compass.
yes. And
They're like they're a subsidiary of
Vertex,
Vertex.
yeah.
Yes.
as a matter of fact, Bonfati is still in charge.
And Tim Bonfati is still in charge.
good.
That's what I heard from Chris Eberly.
Okay, anybody want to make a comment on Bill's retirement here?
He already did.
Well, we'll be sorry to see him go. Tell
Yeah,
him he takes
we'll
care,
miss
take
ya.
care of yourself.
Got it. My health is more important to
Oh,
me than
yeah.
anything right now.
I won't ask for a motion on it, I guess the guy's big
I
enough.
guess we can let him.
It's not like we have a vote anyway, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's no other
Well,
business,
I mean, if you don't mind, Ted, what I thought we'd do, let's chat about what we do a little bit more. I'm not sure, you haven't been at a previous committee.
okay, it comes under new business.
Yeah. You're not sure even how much you know about the committee or anything. You've had some good
Not a lot.
conversations. I mean, it's non-political. The town comes to us with a project. We have no say, nor do we want one, about whether or not to do it. Here's the project, here's what we're looking to do, here's how much money we have, typically voted by town meeting. And at that point, if it's something grand, we would put out an RFP for proposals from architects, interview them, rate them. Any project over $1.5 million has to have an owner's project manager that we would hire to kind of represent us. The smaller things, a bunch of these guys have done themselves, like we've acted as the owner's project manager on some of the smaller ones,
Okay.
which means a bunch of the guys are going to meetings and all. Personally, I don't go to a lot of those meetings just because I'm working. What else we want to say about it? You know, it's other than that, you know, you get them in, and if there's something ongoing like the chapel was for most of the last year, every couple of weeks we'll have the architect in or the OPM in.
Sure.
How's it going, and get the financial reports, and you know, just keep track of the money with Linda, tracking what accounts they go to, things like that. For instance, in this last one, a big chunk of the money was the from the town, but the smaller chunk was, what was it, the Conservation Committee?
No,
Community
the
preservation.
preservation.
Committee. You know, so they were in, how's the money being spent, and, you know, this kind of thing. And if something really comes up, we might end up talking to the selectmen about why a certain project is in a certain mode.
Right.
Again, rating, you know, other vendors that might be proposing things.
Well, the one big difference from the way it operates now from the way it was, say, 20 years ago, is the building committee, as you see it, operated as the owner's project manager. Now, we can still do that to those of us who are qualified under the law, which would be you. But we choose to go out and get an owner's project manager, and they're interviewed and all of these kinds of things. And we try very hard to get the right guy for the job. Sometimes we luck in and do that, and sometimes not so much. But the idea is that what is really an anathema for us is to you get a sum of money to do a job and find out we have to spend more, and then it gets tight. However, if we give it back, we're heroes for about a minute, and then everything's forgot. So essentially, that's where it is. And generally, if the project is somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million and it's not too complicated, chances are we'll take care of it ourselves and save the money, because it'll run close to $100,000 any way you work at it. So we try to do that to keep the cost down. And the other thing is that this committee deals with other committees in the town. There's the Conservation Commission, there's the Finance Committee, and the Selectmen, for sure. And we occasionally have to meet with them. And under the law, we have to meet as a group. So, you know, you have to be prepared for that. And sometimes they may have a different point of view than us, and we have to discuss it. So essentially, we're generally more busy than we are right now. But this I guess a whole lot of things like Jerry's project with the town hall, he's sort of ramrodding that through as our representative to the project. So he brings the information of the project into the committee, and he tells us what's going on, just as we did on the bathhouse and the church and all that. And that's where we operate. So one person usually takes the project when it's available, and runs with it, and he goes to meetings and all of those things, and becomes at a point where he can come in and discuss what's going on with the project. So everybody on the committee knows exactly what, and we can ask questions. And then generally speaking, we'll have the architect and/or the OPM if it's necessary. But that's essentially the way we do business.
And what he was talking about, as far as maybe bill coming in if needed, there are rules about how fast you have to pay invoices and stuff like that. So if it's like a large project and we get an invoice, we can't wait a month and a half to pay it. So we have to have meetings at certain times. What I always liked about it, I'm a mechanical engineer, I'm not a PE. I've been a controls guy for a lot of years. I work for Eversource in the energy efficiency department now. But now I get to learn about architecture. I can't tell you how much I've learned from Ted, just about the architecture of buildings and plumbing and site work and kind of everything.
Yeah.
As I've always enjoyed learning the little aspects of it that aren't my field, and then contributing my knowledge when I can.
Sure.
That's kind of what I always enjoyed about it, just kind of FYI.
That sounds interesting.
Well, in reading your background here, I would say you've already been exposed to all of this.
A lot of what you're talking about is what I've done.
So I didn't want to bore you with something you
No,
already...
what I've done in my career so far is, we do source selection, which is choosing an AE to perform the work. Even depending on the type of project we have, whether it's just bidding out for construction, we'll take a look and make sure that the construction contractor is technically acceptable. And there's all sorts of, just like you guys have for federal government, all sorts of rules and regulations to define that. I've sat in on those boards as well. Most of the projects that I've done are larger civil works types of projects. I'm the senior structural engineer now at New England District for the Corps. I'm the bridge program manager, so.
You're the what?
Bridge program
You
manager.
work on
so-
bridges?
So if you ever drive over the Bourne or Sagamore bridges and there's cones up, you can blame me.
You.
That's me. My name's on those plans and specifications to do that. They take up probably 50% of my time, and the vertical railroad bridge, vertical lift bridge down there, which we're replacing the elevators, by the way.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it sounds to me like you're right.
We,
The guy
yeah,
that we're looking
you're talking
for.
about roofs. I mean, we do, a lot of roofs for all our flood control dams. We
Yeah.
have flood control towers, and the roofs are always needing replacement. We do roofs for Natick, the Army Soldier Systems Center there. So I am familiar with what you're talking about. And,
How long you been with the government?
I just started 34 years ago.
Oh. Yeah, I wanted to get with the Corps too, but I was too busy in Boston.
Yeah.
But-
Also, I wanted to say that Bill was talking about other departments and committees are involved with us, and as a matter of fact, the Community Preservation Committee or Commission? Committee was very involved in the last project we did. As a matter of fact, they made a lot of it possible with the money that they came up with, because part of the original project was to not restore the lantern on the chapel, which we did. The lantern was actually had blown off, and we had it completely restored. And what was the other part of that, Jerry, that we?
There was, the lantern, there
Was it
was.
the
a-
windows?
Well, the windows were always in, but when we first put it out, everything was in one package. And then it came out 30% high. So we broke it into 3 parts. One was the main part of the project, repair all of the exterior, do the interior work. The stained glass windows were pulled out separately, and the lantern was pulled out separately. And-
That's right, the stained glass windows were separate.
It was a separate contract because we didn't have to pay the 15% markup on either one of them when we did that. And because we were dealing with masons as a primary contractor, they didn't know beans about the metalwork or the glass. So they couldn't get a really good feel for the project. So it was less expensive for us, easier to manage, because we had the LPMs on board anyway.
Yeah.
Just to separate those 3 contracts, put them out separately. And we were also able to put out the lantern and the windows with the money we had obligated already before town meeting voted on the main project. But it was more convincing
Right.
to have that already underway. And then $400,000 from the Community Preservation Act sealed the deal on it at the end.
So when do you use an owner's project manager? When do you use that at a certain
Generally
dollar
speaking,
level?
when we go over, they think the loss is $1.5 million, but I think when we get up above $1 million,
Start-
although on the senior center project, the addition to the senior center, which I did as owner's project manager, was into $2 million, and happily that worked out okay. But we rarely go over that, I mean, really. And we just did the bathhouse, and that was less than $1 million.
Yeah.
And the money that Bill was alluding to to the conservation group there, we are returning money to them. And it's a significant amount of money that they should be happy, because that gives them a chance to spread it around somewhere else, and I think they'll be happy. All in all, I think what we like to do is when we finish something, we don't like to hear about it. Just go on to the next one.
That's right. One of the
Yeah.
next one. Sure.
I mean, it would also come into play from an OPM standpoint, who's available and who has the expertise for whatever the type of project was.
Sure.
I'm sure a smaller one, if it happened to be something that no one had a real deep expertise in, would probably get an OPM.
Speaking of expertise in things we do in projects, a little bit off the subject, but Ted, you were on that committee to study the school needs, was that?
Yes.
So I saw something in the paper for a study for middle school from Maine.
That was the study.
Well, they're looking for $1.5 million at town meeting.
You're talking about another one.
Another one? What was specifically they're looking for?
It was
Well,
into
today's
today's
rate-
You see,
paper.
wait a minute, let me back up. That committee was formed to review, it's like a 20-year study of the school system in Norwood,
The need.
with an eye toward economizing you know, with the way schools operate today, which is far different than it was 20 years ago, let's face it. And the question of, can we reduce the number of schools and create one larger school, which is the focus of this latest packages for the middle school to replace the Coakley. And there were 5 different studies done, each one involved with one of the elementary schools. And so they focused on well, which one do you want to do, and you know, how would it impact on the design of the new middle school and so forth. So that's pretty much the thrust of that. It wasn't really focused on the middle school itself. It was the need for what we have to do to modernize the Norwood school system. And there were things like the Balch School, which was just a survivor at 108 years old, as opposed to another school, I won't mention it, that was considerably less in age. But
So the study they're talking about now then is an expansion beyond what you guys did, but now it's focused on the one school.
I hadn't had a chance to find out. I know they're forming what I think is a working group like they had on the high school. It seems to have the same cast of characters. And way down at the bottom, they said, oh yeah, we need a registered architect or a registered engineer to, you know, you have to because of the law. It says that the chairman has got to be a registered architect or registered engineer. And I forget the number of things, 691 or something like that. What is it, Steve? Do you know that one?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, anyway, it has to do with 149. How do you set up a group to spend state money on buildings? In this case, this is state money, it's not town money. Well, in a sense, it's half state money and half town. Well, I'm getting a field here, but what Jerry's talking about is that the fact 10 years ago, we finished up the high schools, and now we're looking to do a middle school. The crosshairs are on the Coakley School in South Norwood, which is a building that was done in 1974, I think, and it was done with a kind of archaic parameters for design and programming and stuff like that. And it really kind of has outlived its usefulness. We all know that, so something has to be done.
It's like the all-electric heat.
I was more concerned about the issue of the $1.5 million and why we would need $1.5 million study after what you guys already did. But if it's not what you already did,
Well,
that's different.
I can't address that because I don't know exactly what they're talking about. But generally speaking, it has to do with if you're going to focus on just doing a building, which is I think is where they are right now, because there's a process ongoing with the MSBA right now, and I talked to Paul Riccardi about that a little bit. But they have to come up with all kinds of reasons for doing it, all kinds of, the size of the building, how many square foot it's going to be and all that kind of stuff based on how many kids are going to be in the building. It's an exhaustive process because I went through it and I know on high school. But I don't know exactly what they have because nobody's contacted me.
Well, everything I know I got out of the paper.
What?
Everything I know I read in the paper.
Yeah,
We'll
I
find
haven't
out.
seen that yet. But anyway, long story short, they're going to go ahead with this school, but it doesn't look like they're going to hit the ground running till about 2025 or something like that. You look like you want to say something, Steve.
Well, that'll give us plenty of time to retire.
I mean, to put an end to it, there's all kinds of stuff that the MSBA, and you're familiar with them, the Massachusetts School Building Authority.
I've heard of that.
That's where the money comes from.
Oh, okay.
They paid about half of the high school.
Yeah, but you're not always that lucky. I mean, they have all different kinds of parameters on the percentage of what they will pay and there's all kinds of things you have to do. You have to prove to them you really want it, and they put you through hoops. And this is something that it takes a lot of time, years.
So is that the next big project coming down, or is there?
Well, in terms of, it depends on who you ask. But right now, it's most singular the biggest project I know that's still out there and that we're well involved in. And we've had to go down, it's like climbing a ladder, a very slow ladder, and lots of steps before you can get to where you want to be, to convince the MSBA that they should give us your money to do the job.
The next project will probably be some significant work on the town hall here once they figure out what
Yeah.
direction they want to go.
Okay.
We've had an architect come in, take a look at it, talk to the folks that run the building and all, see what direction they want to go, come up with some plans about here's how you kind of here's where you want to get, here's how you might phase it to get there. Now they're kind of discussing what they want to do next. That's the project Jerry's involved
Yeah,
with.
$300,000 elevator.
Yeah, but you know it could be.
Oh,
It
that's-
depends what they want to how much they want to spend. I mean, you could spend millions on
And
it.
what do they want to do with?
Well, it
the
needs
hall?
all new electrical, all new HVAC. They
Oh,
want to
okay.
reconfigure some of the spaces. It probably needs some ADA work.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah, and,
I mean, look right behind you here. With,
Yeah.
Lighting,
there's not enough
Plumbing.
power in the building. The
it-
bathrooms are old.
let me put it this way. Seeing you're already kind of one of the guys here,
I think
you'll
they-
be hitting the ground running on this, okay? And your expertise will be most welcome. But right now, I've seen the plans and everything, and there's all kinds of things left to work out. So it's almost like a new project.
It's a sequencing issue with the town manager in terms of the light department moving over to what's the name of that road? Access Road.
Access road.
The access road near the airport.
Yeah.
That vacates most of that building, but not all of it. And then, what departments from here does he want to move there? Oh, but we
this
gotta
is right.
renovate that first, then move those departments there, then think about what renovates here. So this is really at the bottom of the pile of this little sequencing of dominoes. And they haven't moved in completely in over
They
Access
basically,
Road, so we're gonna be
Yeah.
down for a while waiting.
are they basically talking like a gut of the town hall part
No,
of it or
only,
something? Or just-
actually only this floor and the second floor.
Oh, okay.
The third floor was done a while ago. However, there's been a good deal of talk about the third floor being changed significantly as well. So there's a lot of balls still in the air,
Yeah.
and the town manager is just trying to kind of like ignore them and hope they don't fall until he gets some of the other things out of them.
So you see how exciting this is getting?
Yeah.
Already got your attention.
Do you have any
Anyway,
questions? Do you have any questions?
No, I mean, I'd like to see at some point, like, you know, the actual guidance or rules and regulations that you operate under.
You have those,
I
Ted,
don't
don't you?
know.
The,
yeah, I don't have them with me, but
No, I know,
no, I'll get my wheelbarrow and I'll wheel them in here. No, I'll
Lynn, is that something you have electronically? No? Okay.
I imagine it must be like that.
They're easy to get if you just know the right numbers. You just give them a little
Yeah.
email with the numbers.
The problem is, when you're dealing with federal money and state money, that you're dealing with a plethora of codes. And I'm pretty sure you're used to codes. But there's the
Yeah.
BOCA code, there's the
Yeah.
electric code, there's the OSHA codes, there's this code, that code, 149, 149A, and then there's codes when you want to buy stuff, the 40B or what, 30B, whatever the heck it is. And it just piles up. And I mean, it takes you a month to read it all.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I was thinking more like as far as the makeup of the PVCC, as far as.
Yeah, well, that's a bylaw, that's an,
That's a
bylaw.
yeah, that's about a 4-paragraph.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
That-
couple
that-
pages.
Yeah.
Most of us have
Someone's
that
got-
memorized, so if you,
Do you have that you could maybe get in?
yeah, I'll sure, I'll get
it.
it. Will you come the next time? I'll see that you get it.
Sure, okay.
I'll bring it in.
When
I'll
is
give you
the
some
next-
codes to read, because it doesn't stop, that's just the municipal law, then there's the state laws.
Yeah.
And the state laws actually hold sway over the municipal ones.
Mhm.
So if you're gonna conduct business with the state money, you have to do it their way.
Hmm.
When is our next meeting, Mr. Chairman?
Don't know, I was gonna ask you, what's with Kelso? Or what's with Mr. Mizuko? Is he all set to start up? Because everybody's on hold with the town.
No, he's not ready to start with the town.
Is there any feedback at all on what he's thinking about?
Just what I just said in terms of the sequencing. He doesn't want to do anything in town hall until he figures out what he's gonna do with the light department building and renovate it and move a department or two there. And then see what he's got for space here and rethink it.
So we're easily talking into the beginning
Well,
of next year.
It'll be another year before we
At the
get to that.
beginning.
Well, what is he gonna come, giving us a job for the light department, or is this something he's
No.
gonna do in an envelope, or?
The light department does their own thing.
Yeah, I
Why is
noticed
that? So the building they're building into, is it a new building?
There's a renovated building on Access Road.
Yeah.
No, it was an existing warehouse for books for the Boston Public
But
Schools
that
for
won't
many
be,
years.
that's not a town-owned building?
It is now,
But why didn't we deal with renovating it to get?
because it's a light department project.
Well,
Oh, and that treats its own thing as its own company.
John, to answer your question, right now, I can't think of anything that's pressing in terms of a project. Nobody has told us that there's anything they want us to do at this point. Actually, this is an unusual situation. Usually we have two or three things going at the same time, but it just so happens this, for some reason, everything is kind of slow.
I mean, some of the ones recently, roofs in the schools, windows, a boiler at the Prescott School, things like
Well,
that.
maybe town meeting will come up with something interesting for us coming up.
But getting over onto this thing that Jerry mentioned, which sounds to me like a working group for the new middle school, which is the way we handled the high school. The working group was a large group that came out of what was called the Group of 21. There was a subgroup, and then, believe it or not, there was a subgroup of the working group. I was a member of all of it, so, and I can still remember.
Only because you volunteer too much.
Yeah, out of 40 people, they got it down to 5 guys in a back room someplace. Anyway,
Most of the times meetings, they might go an hour,
Yeah.
because big projects going on, it could be here till 10,
Yeah.
or even sometimes
but
later.
right now, we
Sometimes
have no proposals out for,
So how about if I make a motion that our next meeting is the 26th, 3 weeks? Does that seem reasonable?
26th October.
September.
Linda,
26th.
Linda, do you know anything in the wind that somebody might be asking us to look at?
No.
Do we even go another,
How about,
the third?
how about turning money over to have we turned over money to the Conservation Commission at this point?
I mean, the community preservation.
Community preservation.
No, because the project did not finish in 2019.
Yeah,
So it can't be turned over until 20.
but when in the 20, I mean, if we set up a meeting for the 26th, is it possible to turn over money to them? Because I don't think we should hold on to their money.
Well, if we close out the project, doesn't that do what they're trying to get to? Doesn't that turn the money back somewhere?
They need to have a report, but the
CPA needs
it
it.
hasn't, the money hasn't rolled over from the previous year yet. So none of the books have been closed yet.
Oh, okay. When does that happen? Another month?
I believe it's this week.
I'm sorry, Linda, I can't hear you.
This week.
So after this week, we could close the project?
So if we set up something for the 26th, we could, by then we'll know what we have to do.
Well,
Which is,
what would we need to do at a meeting that closes the project?
Vote.
well, we have to vote to give them money back to what that's okay.
Can we do that right now?
No,
Not
we
right now, no. We want
Because the
to,
books
we'd like
are-
to at least let Joe Greeley know
Well,
that
it
it's.
doesn't make a lot of sense, but no.
It does make sense, because Joe Greeley should be involved in this, at least.
They just need a report.
Yeah. So they want us to write a report?
They just want to know where the money's gone.
Yeah,
What's left?
exactly.
What's gone, what's left?
Right.
You keep smiling, but I'm just trying to find out what they want. I mean, besides money. What
To
they
find
want,
out
how
what-
the money was spent?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
You should have that from RGB, shouldn't you? Oh,
So do we want to go the 26th or the
gone.
3rd? I mean, is it something we have to rush into? It doesn't sound like it from your standpoint.
We'd go the third.
It's not something we have to rush into, Ted, but if we want, we do the 26th
Well, I
or
mean,
just the
I
3rd?
mean, I can't think of any other reason to have a meeting on the 26th.
Let's go the 3rd then.
You want to hold off to the 3rd of October?
Sounds
All right, let's
good.
tentatively put it into the 3rd of October. Should anything come up, we'll adjust it.
Move to adjourn.
Second? Second?
Yep. You're the one.
Oh, I'll second it. I thought you were seconding it.
Let me second it while I'm
Okay.
still a member. Second.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
John, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
I'm optimistic.